Hi, and welcome to Glitzy Paint Parties. So today we're going to be painting on glass. And you can use any kind of glass. You could use a wine glass, a goblet, even if you have a nice vase that you want to paint something on. So I'm using a very simple goblet, water glass, which also you can drink whatever you want out of it. And what we're going to need today is you're going to need a stencil. So the way I am going to do it is I'm going to take this stencil that I've prepared and we're going to put it inside the glass like this. But in order to get a stencil, you can Google printable clipboard or printable stencils and see what you like. And most of the time it's going to print out like this. So I saw this stencil, I thought it was really nice, it would be great to put on a glass. And I also saw this to break it up so you're not using the same print all around the glass. But obviously this is not going to fit into that small glass. So what I did was I took each stencil and I put it on my printer and I reduced the size of it and I reduced it to 40%. But play around with it and see how big you want it, how big your glass is, and what's going to fit. So I printed out 2 of each and I then put them, when I got it to the size I want, I cut it out, I put it on the printer, and now I have 2 pieces, or you could tape it together. Now I started putting some color on this just to see how it would look. But what I'm going to do is put this inside the glass. First, we have to make sure the glass is clean. Make sure that you wash the glass, it's nice and clean and dry, but we have to prepare it to put paint on it. So you are going to use rubbing alcohol, which I know is very hard to find these days. So you could either use an alcohol prep pad, or these are easy to find. I actually got these on Amazon. It came in a pack of 10. It's great to keep in the car. If you're going on vacation, this is what we use them for. It's 75% alcohol. Alcohol prep pads that they use in doctor's offices are only 70% alcohol. So you're doing well if you're using some kind of a sanitizer. These are great for airplanes, by the way. Stick it in the car, put it in your handbag. Bring it on vacation with you to wipe things down. We're still in a pandemic. That's why I'm wearing hats, because I have pandemic hair. And so we're going to prepare our glass. I'm going to use one of these wipes. And we're going to wipe the glass down like this on all sides. So once the glass is wiped down on all sides, put it aside. Let that dry. You can't be using it when it's wet, otherwise it's going to interfere with the paint. But once it's dry, it's great to paint on. Okay, so we have our stencils, we have our glass. We're going to need paints. And I use Enamel Paints, and they come in all different kinds. This is great, the Americana Gloss enamels. And it will say on there, glass acrylic paint. You can put this on multi-surfaces. But also, if you look at the top of some of them, and these are the folk arts, they have a little wine glass on there. So you can use this when you're painting on glass. So we have that done. And being we're painting on such a small surface, so I have some really small brushes, and I'll show you these. These are called my mini brushes. Some of them are micro minis, and these are great. So if you're going to be doing a lot of glass painting, you might want to pick up a set of these. It comes in a set, I think, of 10 brushes, and it's all different detailed brushes. Here you have your fan brush, and you can get different brands, have different small brushes. This is simply Simmons. So you might want to check it out if you're going to be doing a lot of glass painting or painting, details in paintings. You might want to pick up some mini brushes or micro mini brushes. It's good to have on hand. You're going to need a cup of water to put your paint brushes in when you're not using them. And I use a paper plate as my palette just to put the paints out there so I can mix them together on the plate. This is a small surface, you're not going to need a lot of paints. So before you open your paints, make sure that you shake them up really good. Sometimes if there's oil, if it's an oil-based paint, the oil will come to the top. So you just want to shake them up really well. So what we're going to do, we're going to need some Scotch tape. My glass is nice and dry now. And we're going to take some Scotch tape and tape our stencils inside the glass. So this is my stencil. Here's my glass. I'm going to put it in. And I did cut out 2 of these. So altogether I have 4 separate stencils that I've cut out. You want to leave about 1 inch, 3/4 of an inch around the rim of your glass. You don't want to, when you're drinking, you don't want to actually have that touching your lips. So we're going to get some tape and we're going to tape this inside the glass, and we're going to leave some room on the top. And we have to get that on the paper. Press it nice against the glass. So my paper is actually almost to the bottom of the glass, but you see I'm leaving room there. And then I have my other stencil, and I'm going to put that on the other side of the glass. Okay. So what I have here, this is too big, and I don't want to hide the main part of the flower. So I'm just going to put this behind this one. And bring this in a little in front of the other one. So it's nice and centered, it's on the same line. And now we're just going to put some tape. So we have our stencil taped in. And now we're going to prepare our paints, and we're going to decide what colors we want to use. So I'm thinking I want to use purples and pinks for the flowers. So I'm going to pick out some nice colors. I have a nice purple enamel here. I don't know if you can see that. Okay. And then I have pink enamel that I'm going to use. And I have a light green and a dark green for the leaves. And then I have a nice orangish yellow that we're going to use for the middle of the flowers. So make sure you shake those up well, and we're ready to start. Now I always keep an old rag or a cloth around to clean my brushes as I go along. And so we're just going to shake up our paints and start putting some paints on our paper palette here. And I'll show you what we're doing here. Okay, so now we're ready to start painting our glass. And if the bottom of the stencils are not coming close enough to the glass for you to be able to trace them, you can either tape it to the bottom of the glass, or you can stick a cloth in there so it'll push it closer to the glass. I stuck a clean sock, okay, keyword here is clean, it's a clean sock in the glass. And so now I'm going to start outlining the designs before I start filling in the paint. So what I'm going to do is, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to outline whichever colors I'm going to be using. So first I'm going to outline in purple. The smaller stencil here, the leaves, etc., you might want to fill the whole thing in before outlining. You could just, as you're going along, see what's comfortable for you. So I'm going to start with my purple flowers, and I'm using a small detail brush. Can you see that? And here we go. We're going to start going around where the stencil is. before we fill it in. Now the thing with painting on glass, you don't want to have too many layers, because when you cure it, and we'll discuss that later, but when you cure your glass, if you have too many layers, it will start to bubble. So you don't want to have a lot of layers. So you want to do your outline, and then when you fill it in, be sure to fill it in with enough paint that you will not have too many layers and it doesn't bubble. So you can see what I'm doing. I'm just outlining where my purple flowers are going to be. And I think I'm going to do my star flowers in the purple. And you can see why we want to use very small brushes on this. So I'm going to go around my glass and do my purple paints first. And again, like I said, I'm outlining them. You might want to keep some Q-tips on hand in case you want to correct something. If you want to do these flowers in red and green, that will have a nice holiday effect. But I want to keep this for all year round. So you see me outlining in purple. So maybe we want to go into some of these. Like you saw, if you get a dot on there that you don't like, you can very easily wipe it off with your finger. These little flowers are actually quite simple. It's just 2 brush strokes, so I don't have to outline those. 2 brush strokes like that. Now you have to be careful where you're putting your fingers when you're doing this, otherwise you're going to be smudging. So hold it around the bottom. Over here, do another purple flower. I'm going to fill in my big purple flower. Just going to go back and fill that in. So when we're done with all our designing on the glass, then what we're going to do is cure it. And how you cure it, you can do it in 2 ways. You can let your glass sit for about 3 weeks in the closet undisturbed, or you can bake it in the oven for a ½ hour, which is what we're going to do today. Okay, now we're going to go in and put some leaves in there. And I'm going to use the light green for the leaves. And I'm only doing the leaves. And what I'm doing is I'm going to roll my brush in the green paint so that we keep that nice pointy tip. And we're going to just add some nice long leaves here and there. Maybe a leaf up here. Now you're going to find that your paint might be coming away with your brush. That's okay. That'll have a very nice effect when it's dry. some leaves all around the glass. Just make sure you have enough paint on your brush. So what I did over here, I just want to fix that a little, and I have my Q-tip, and I'm going to go into this, just clean it up a little with my Q-tip. Going around my glass and adding my little green leaves here and there. So we're going to put that brush in the water and go back to our small brush. Now I'm going to use a darker green. And I'm just going to make our little leaf vines. Some little vines down here and there. Go. There we go. Nice squiggly lines here and there with the dark green. Alright. Maybe some stems from the flowers. Kind of cool. Okay. Alright, so we're almost done. We have our flowers and stems in there. And now we're going to put some yellow in there to show the center of the flowers. And so I've dipped my little detail into my yellow paint. And I'm just going to put some yellow dots. Can you see that? Just putting some yellow dots in the middle of our flowers. And that's going to make everything pop. Okay, so we're going to continue with the yellow, and we're going to go into our flowers, and we're going to put our little yellow dots in the flowers. And maybe one right in the middle over here. Put one right in the middle here. Might press a little harder in the middle of your purple flowers if you just want one big yellow dot in the middle. Or you can press very lightly and have a few small yellow dots in the middle of your flower. Maybe we'll put one over here and one down here. One in the middle. missed any. Don't want anybody to be left out. And here's one down here. So, there we have it. Okay, so now we're going to wait for this to dry, and then we'll take everything out of the middle. And you can go in and, if you want to clean it up or add some yellow, make it a little darker, but you don't want to have too many layers, because too many layers, like I said, when we cure it, it's going to bubble. Okay, so we're going to leave that, and we're going to let it air dry, and then we're going to come back and I'm going to show you how to cure it. So I'll see you soon. Okay. Hi, so we're done painting our glass, but we have to let it air dry for 1 hour. So once it's air dried for 1 hour, we're going to bake it in the oven. I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. So let your glass dry. Once it's dry, come back and start the video again. See you soon. Okay, so now that our glass is dry, we're going to cure it by baking it in the oven. So what we have to do is take our glass and turn it upside down on a baking sheet. Okay, we have our glass upside down. And we're going to put it in a cold oven. We're not going to preheat the oven. So let's take our glass, put it in a cold oven on the baking sheet, and we're going to put it in there for a ½ hour at 350 degrees. Okay, so we have our glass in the oven, and the oven is cold. We have not preheated it. Okay, so let's put this on bake, and we're going to put it in 350 degrees. Okay, and that's going to be for 30 minutes. So I'm going to set my timer for 30 minutes, and when the timer goes off, I'll shut the oven off, but I'm not going to take the glass out. It has to cool down. The same way it has to heat up in there, it has to cool down. So we're going to leave it in there after it's baked for 30 minutes, and we're going to leave it in there for an hour, hour and a half. Then we'll open the door to the oven, let the warm air out, and it'll be done. See you when we're done baking. So our glass is done baking, and we let it sit in the oven for about an hour, hour and a half. I opened the oven door after an hour to let it cool down a little bit, and there we have it. That's our glass. I'm not going to use it for 3 days. I'm just going to sit it in the closet, and after 3 days it's good to be used. Don't put it in the dishwasher. This has to be washed by hand, but it's so worth it. Have fun, enjoy. Please leave a comment. Let me know how much fun you had doing this, or if you have any suggestions for the future. And if you haven't subscribed, I hope you'll do so. Thanks.